So we're finally getting into one of my all-time favorite Attack on Titan moments, the counterattack against the Beast Titan. This episode was brutal and really got across just how devastating this attack has been, both from the Colossal as well as the Beast Titan. This man is just a monkey tossing shattered rocks and basically wiping out the entire force. And just the devastating impact to what's going on here, it's hopeless. And I remember when I first read this, it just felt like, how can you come back from this? And even though I knew where ultimately this episode would end up, I still almost felt the same thing. Even though I knew where it was going, it just felt hopeless. The music, the quiet scenes, just seeing the slow-mo of rocks coming in and wiping out your allies, to just your two top people almost looking like they have no idea what to say or do. Your top soldier not being able to use his full talents. Your leader almost feeling like he's giving up, feeling like his dream, his father's dream, wouldn't come to fruition and he would have to die. And I love that because it's such a depressing and intense moment. And then when you see what Erwin had planned to basically use his entire force as sacrifice to distract the Beast Titan as they charge headfirst with the cavalry, making him seem like they were just going on a suicide run as Levi sneaks behind, killing the Titans to get to the Beast Titan. It is such a perfect and depressing plan because they have no other choice. So what do? Do you try to run with a select few and Eren, hopefully making it back to home and regroup, or do you use these sacrifices and hopefully at least take out one of your big bads? It is brutal and devastating, and just seeing the fear in the general folks' eyes, because you're looking at a majority of the best soldiers dead in an instant, and most people are puking. They're fearful, and Erwin is like saying, yeah, everything's meaningless. Everyone's death is meaningless. Everything that you're feeling is meaningless. You could betray us and go against orders and you'll still die. But you can see how he calls himself a con man because he can make people follow him to the depths of hell. And this is the depths of hell. Running face first into a giant monkey tossing rocks at you, that's basically hell in a nutshell to them. And he was able to con them by making that rage into something, making it feel like the deaths of the soldiers, their deaths will mean something because the living will carry on their memory to the end goal, and as long as one's still breathing, the war hasn't ended. And it's such a great moment. It is devastating. It's even more devastating than I was anticipating because I just forget how quickly things could be gone. These entire buildings covering them, gone in an instant. It feels so brutal, quick, and savage, and I loved it. I love the devastating impact to the Beast Titan, and it was just glorious and depressing seeing so much annihilation in a matter of a few frames, which is so perfect for this devastating impact. Now, I will say the overall Colossal and just that kind of whole Eren situation, it was a mixture for me because it was a blend of 2D and 3D. Now, having something to this magnitude walking around and tossing buildings, there's no way in television production to have the Colossal be moving and be able to do that in 2D. There's just too many frames needed. That's why, like, within the first season when he first kicked down the walls, there was only one sequence where the Colossal Titan was there, so of course you could take the time to make sure it's refined and polished. But when you have the Colossal kind of walking around, it's a manga design that just is so hard to translate to anime that you understand why they had to go 3D with it. And it was a mixer for me. It definitely looked clunky and off-putting, especially with some of the wider shots, but then there was also some shots where it kind of looked okay. And then, of course, you had the more basic, and it wasn't super hyper-realistic, but it still fit in the 2D, especially with Eren kind of going to try to throw off the Colossal's legs. So it was definitely a coin toss to me. At first, I was a little iffy on it. I was like, okay, yeah, this doesn't look the greatest. I mean, I understand why they had to go this route, and I don't blame them for going this route. Pretty much every studio would. Unless you're in a movie format, there's no way that this would be 2D walking around super glorious frames. But it just looked a little weird. But then when you get into the more closer combat, especially when you focus on the face that's almost always 2D, it looks really great, especially some of the close-ups. So it was definitely a mixture, but for something of this size and magnitude, you understand it was going to be this way always. But especially when you see the destruction happening to the buildings, both with the Colossal as well as the Beast Titan, it almost makes up for it to some degree for me because you're seeing the impact of what this size is doing. Of course, when you focus on the Colossal, you're like, okay, it just doesn't mesh well. It feels like it is an object placed on 2D scenery, but I'd be lying if I said I still didn't love this episode because I did. I really, really did. I think the overall themes and just what the story was going for, it was amazing and just really delivered what I was anticipating. The only thing that felt off-putting would be the Colossal in 3D for 90% of the scenes he was in. But when you see characters like Armin just not knowing what to do, it kind of makes up for a lot of the shortcomings in the visual production. because you have someone who is viewed as one of the most intelligent, if not the most intelligent soldier in this battle, and Armin is fearful. He doesn't know that he feels like his judgment isn't working, it didn't work against Bertolt, and he feels like someone like Jean would be better to lead because he has no answers. And I love just putting yourself in Armin's shoes. Imagine you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. Sure, Eren is the Titan, he has to do the main work, but you're being told you're the brains of the bunch, you're the only one inside the walls right now who can make a logical plan that will save us. What do we do? And you just draw a blank because you're about to die. You have no answers. That is such a great moment. I love the little moments between the characters. Freaking out, not being able to really recognize what's going on, trying to use the thunder spears, but the colossal steam is too much. It actually reflects it back, and then one of your best soldiers gets shards in her arm because of the explosion. What would you do in Armin's shoes? You would probably panic and, if not, kill yourself. Like, it is ridiculous in just seeing the amount of fear, and also seeing just the difference between Erwin as well as Armin in this moment, because they both are leading these people. One is leading to a death trap, and Armin is someone who's trying to keep them safe but has no answers. It is such an interesting moment, and it is so brutal. Like, even though there definitely was visual dips for sure, especially with the Colossal, just seeing the facial reactions, the heartbreak, the body language, and the total destruction and annihilation on this entire town, possibly thinking to yourself, Eren's house might have been destroyed in the debris, and all of this is for nothing. Imagining the fear and distraught in their just thought process. Imagining, like, what can you do, and then seeing your best friend basically kicked football style onto a wall, not knowing if he's still alive and kicking. Like, there is no hope. For a lot of this battle, it's basically been a coin toss. At any moment, the tides can turn, and for the most part in this episode, you feel like they're gonna die. Everyone's going to die. Only a couple might make this out alive, and then in a matter of a minute, you see a plan get created where 99% of your soldiers are going to die, but possibly you can turn the tides with one fast boy, that being Levi. It is, I can't wait for next week. I am just so hopeful. I'm crossing my fingers that it's going to be animated just like I'm thinking of. Remembering the Levi rooftop scene in the first core of Season 3, I was waiting so long to see that animated, and it was glorious. I'm hoping it will have the same level of production for this Levi scene, because it is glorious, and honestly is one of my top 3 moments in Attack on Titan. It is so amazing, it is brutal, and I love it. And just seeing just the suicide charge, seeing just Armin and just the rest not knowing what the hell to do, you kind of feel tensed up and you almost want to take a suicide pill watching this episode, because, like, what are these characters going to do? They have no answers, and at every moment it feels like it could be okay. You see the armor wandering, you see the Colossal wandering, you see the Beast Titans playing ball. What do you do against that when you have one Titan shifter and he's out of commission right now and pretty much all your soldiers have been annihilated? It's brutal, and I love that, because you really need the perfect plane. You need the perfect moment to really turn the tides and get them out of there, because really at this point they're all dead. And I love that. I love just how much emotion there was in pretty much their death moments, because everyone is freaking out. And I'm glad it wasn't just like everyone was like, you know, being heroic and going to battle. They were charging in knowing damn well what was going to happen. Most of these characters wanted to betray the group. They wanted to run away for their own lives, because why would you face this after seeing it 50% of your people annihilated by one throw of a giant-ass monkey who's making this seem like a game? It's amazing what Attack on Titan can do, and just the overall scope to this battle, the devastating impact to this battle, it's amazing, and I love the voice actors giving it their all. Armin has to be one of the best actors in this episode. Just the fear, and you understood why he was like this, but you also wanted to smack him, being like, I'm sorry, but you gotta do this, man. You're the only one who can give us answers. And then you have Erwin and Levi, just that conversation, the tense, and Levi being like, you have to die. Imagine this. Like, this is a man who values his friendship so much, and he recognizes that he has to tell one of his best friends, kill yourself, kill these people, and I will kill the Beast Titan. Imagine the pain that goes through this. Levi, who has lost so much, most of his squad keeps dying, and now he has to willingly tell one of his closest allies and friends, not even just getting killed by something that they don't see coming, willingly telling your friend, kill yourself, and I promise you I will take out this Titan. That is brutal and savage, and that's what I love about Isayama's writing, because he makes these moments just feel like, holy shit, you savage, but it makes her such a great story arc, and I kinda love it. Though this episode did have its production dips and wasn't overwhelmingly like a jaw-dropping with animation 24/7, the impact to the story and characters and the really important moments like the devastating impact to these buildings, for me personally, it makes up for it and doesn't make it feel like a bad episode. I still think it's a fantastic one, but for everyone who did watch, what did you think of this week's episode of Attack on Titan? Did you love it as much as myself, or did you have more flaws than me? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy, be sure to drop a like and also hit that subscribe button if you haven't been new. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.